You're not blind. She is the day Marcus Hale lost his sight. His wife cried harder than he did. At least, that's what everyone told him. He couldn't see her tears, of course. He couldn't see anything anymore. Not the Manhattan skyline from the 42nd floor of his office, not the face of his driver, not the numbers on his bank statements that still read $340 million. All of it had gone dark 18 months ago, and the doctors had a name for it: idiopathic optic neuropathy. Cause unknown. Progression irreversible. Prognosis bleak. What Marcus had left was sound, touch, memory, and Diane. Diane, who had married him 7 years ago in a garden ceremony in Tuscany. Diane, who now cut his steak, read his emails aloud, guided his hand to the coffee mug each morning, and never once, not once, made him feel like a burden. She was patient in a way that made his chest ache. She was kind in a way that made his oldest friend say, "Marcus, that woman is a saint." He believed them. He had no reason not to. Until the Tuesday afternoon when a 9-year-old girl sat down beside him in Central Park and said, "Mister, why does your wife put stuff in your juice every morning?" Her name was Lily. He knew this because she told him within the first 30 seconds of sitting down, the way children do, without ceremony, without filtering, just raw truth dropped like a coin on concrete. She had been watching him from the bench across the path, she said, because he looked sad, and also because his dog was very fluffy. His dog was Bruno, a golden retriever trained as a guide animal, and Bruno had apparently already made friends with Lily, because Marcus could feel the leash going slack as the dog shuffled toward the child. "You can pet him," Marcus said. "He likes strangers." "I know," Lily said. "He already licked my shoe." Marcus almost smiled. Almost. He had forgotten somewhere in the fog of the past year and a half what it felt like to almost smile. "Why do you look so sad?" she asked. No hesitation, no apology for the question. "I'm blind," he said. "I know that too," she said. "But lots of blind people aren't sad. My uncle is blind and he laughs all the time. He says God closed one door and opened a disco." This time Marcus did smile, a small one, rusty from disuse. "Your uncle sounds like a smart man." "He's mostly just loud," Lily said, "but smart too." They sat in a silence that was comfortable in the strange way that silences with children sometimes are. Bruno panted. Somewhere a food cart wheeled by, and Marcus caught the smell of roasted nuts and exhaust fumes. Then Lily said it. "Mister, why does your wife put stuff in your juice every morning?" Marcus turned his head toward her voice. "What did you say?" "I live in the building across from yours," she said matter-of-factly, as if this explained everything. "My room has a window that faces your kitchen window. You always sit at the island counter while she makes breakfast. She puts something in from a little brown bottle into your orange juice before she gives it to you, every morning." The roasted nuts, the exhaust, Bruno panting. All of it became very loud suddenly, then very quiet. "You must have seen something else," Marcus said. His voice was careful, measured, the voice he used in boardrooms. "I see lots of things," Lily said. "My dad says I'm too nosy, but I know what I saw. The bottle is small and she hides it in her apron pocket after." A pause. "I thought you should know because my mom says if someone is hurting you, you should tell a grown-up." "But you are a grown-up." "So I'm telling you." She stood up then, gave Bruno one last pat, and said she had to go because her au pair was probably panicking. Her footsteps were quick and light, and then she was gone. And Marcus sat alone on the bench with his hands on his knees, and the whole world felt like it had tilted 6 degrees to the left. He didn't say anything to Diane that night. He sat at the dinner table and listened to her voice, warm, attentive, asking about his physical therapy session, whether his headache had improved, whether he wanted chamomile or peppermint tea, and he tasted every bite of food before he swallowed it. He hated himself for doing it. He hated that a child's words could do this to him, could make him suspicious of the woman who had held his hand in every hospital waiting room for 18 months. But the thought, once planted, had roots. He hired a private investigator the next morning, a man named Steele who had done work for Marcus's company before and who asked no unnecessary questions. Marcus gave him Lily's description of the bottle and told him to watch the apartment. He told no one else. He went through his days, therapy, calls with his financial team, walks with Bruno, and he was careful, so careful, not to drink the orange juice. He poured it down the sink each morning while Diane's back was turned. Within 4 days, the headaches that had plagued him for the past year began to lift. Not fully, not dramatically, but they receded, like a tide pulling back, slow and undeniable. On the 6th day, Steele called. "It's thallium," Steele said. "Low doses, consistent with the symptoms of the optic neuropathy you were diagnosed with 18 months ago. I've cross-referenced your medical history with the toxicology profile." "Marcus, your blindness was not idiopathic, it was induced." The word sat in the air. Induced. Marcus was in his study. He was very still. Bruno rested his chin on Marcus's shoe. "How long has she been doing this?" Marcus asked. "From the evidence I can piece together, I'd estimate it started about 2 months before your vision began deteriorating. I found purchase records under a Shell account linked to her personal email. She's been sourcing it internationally." "And the motive?" Steele was quiet for a moment. "There's a man named Patrick Gould, architect. They've been meeting twice a week at a hotel on the Upper West Side for the past 11 months. And I found something else." A pause that stretched like a wire pulled tight. "Diane had a consultation with a divorce attorney 14 months ago. The same week she withdrew from that consultation. My guess? She found out about the prenuptial clause." Marcus knew the clause. He had insisted on it before the wedding, and Diane had signed it without complaint. In the event of divorce, she would receive a settlement of $2 million and nothing more. His estate, his company, his properties, untouched. But if Marcus died, naturally, tragically, the result of an unexplained medical condition, she inherited everything. $340 million. "Send me everything," Marcus said, and Steele, not a word to anyone. He thought he would feel rage. He had expected it, had braced for it the way you brace for a wave, and instead what came was grief, a slow, gray grief that filled his chest like cold water, because the woman he had loved was still in the next room. He could hear her on the phone, laughing at something, and the laugh was the same laugh he had fallen in love with in Tuscany, and he could not reconcile these two truths, the laugh and the poison, the hand that guided his to the coffee mug each morning, the small brown bottle. He sat with the grief for 2 days. Then he made his plan. He called a meeting, not with lawyers first, though they came later. He called a dinner party, intimate. 8 people, his 2 closest friends from college, his sister, his financial advisor, his company's legal counsel, and Diane. He told Diane it was a celebration, the anniversary of his diagnosis, which he had decided to reclaim as a day of gratitude rather than loss. She kissed his cheek and said she thought that was beautiful. He wore a wire. The investigator had arranged it with a federal contact. What Marcus was about to do was precise and deliberate, and he needed it documented, because men with $340 million cannot afford to operate on emotion alone. Dinner was served. The conversation was warm. Marcus was a gracious host, navigating the table with ease that surprised his guests. He had learned, over 18 months, to map every room he spent time in. Then, between the main course and dessert, Marcus set down his fork and said, "I have an announcement." The table quieted. "I got my blood work results back," Marcus said. "My doctors found something unexpected." He paused. "Thallium poisoning. Trace amounts consistent and deliberate. Someone has been administering it to me slowly over a period of nearly 2 years." He heard the sound of a wine glass being set down too quickly. Diane's glass. He knew it was hers because she was sitting to his left, and the sound came from his left. "My God!" his sister breathed. "The police have been informed," Marcus continued. "They'll be making an arrest in the next 48 hours. I was told tonight. I wanted my closest people around me when I said it aloud for the first time." The table erupted. Voices, questions, shock. Underneath all of it, from his left, Diane's voice, remarkably steady, said, "Marcus, that's terrifying. Who would do such a thing?" He turned toward her. "I think you know," he said quietly. 3 seconds of silence. Then Diane's chair scraped back. "I need some air," she said. "Diane?" His voice was not loud, but it stopped her. "The exits are covered. My attorney is in the hallway. Steele is outside." A pause. "Sit down." She sat down. The room was absolutely silent. "I want you to know," Marcus said, and his voice did not shake, which surprised him, "that the worst part isn't what you did to my eyes. The worst part is that I defended you to everyone for 18 months while I was going blind. I told people how lucky I was to have you. I meant it. Marcus, don't! He held up one hand. There is nothing you can say in this room that will matter. The lawyers will handle the rest. He exhaled slowly. What I want you to understand, the only thing I need you to understand, is that a 9-year-old girl saw you. A child from across the street, with no reason to lie and no concept of what $340 million means. She told me because she thought someone was hurting me, and she thought that was wrong. His voice cracked. Just once, just briefly. I lost my sight because of you, but I found it because of her. Diane was arrested 2 days later. The charges were severe, aggravated assault causing grievous bodily harm, attempted murder, fraud. Patrick Gould was brought in for questioning and ultimately charged as a co-conspirator. The case became a headline by Friday. Marcus did not read the headlines. He had people for that now, not because he was blind, but because he had decided that some stories were not worth his time. What the headlines did not report was the part that mattered most to Marcus. 3 weeks after the dinner party, he had his attorney locate Lily and her family. He met them in the same park, on the same bench, with Bruno between them. Her mother was nervous and formal, and kept apologizing for the intrusion, and Marcus told her, with sincerity, that her daughter had saved his life, and that the word intrusion did not apply. Lily was not nervous. Lily was exactly the same, direct, unfiltered, genuinely more interested in Bruno than in any of the adult conversation happening above her head. "Did they catch her?" she asked at one point while Bruno licked her palm. "Yes," Marcus said. "Good," she said simply. "That was bad what she was doing." "Yes, it was." "Are you going to get better?" she asked. This was the question Marcus had been carrying for weeks. The neurologists were cautiously optimistic. The poisoning had been caught in time to prevent complete, permanent destruction of the optic nerves. With treatment, with time, there was a chance, a real one, not a certainty, but a chance. "I might," he said. Lily considered this. "My uncle says even if you stay blind you can still have a good life. He says his ears got better when his eyes stopped working, like a superpower." "He's right," Marcus said, "about all of it." He arranged a full scholarship for Lily, from elementary school through university, placed in a trust that her parents could not touch and that would be waiting for her regardless of what she chose to study or who she chose to become. He did it without announcement, without press, without his name attached. It was the best $4 million he had ever spent. 8 months later, on a bright October morning, Marcus Hale sat in a neurologist's office and saw, blurred, imperfect, watercolored at the edges, the outline of a window. Just the shape of it, just the rectangle of light. He didn't tell anyone right away. He sat with it for a long moment, the way you sit with something enormous when you are not sure yet if you are allowed to believe it. Then he reached down and found Bruno's head and held it in both hands. "Okay," he said softly to no one and everyone. "Okay." Outside the city moved, loud and indifferent and entirely, completely beautiful.